let's talk some defense.
Okay, baby.
And I want to, because this was kind of what really captivated you. John Butler laid out kind of the three real strengths.
Sean's making fun of me at this point.
This has been your like big approach all spring. Like,
no, it hasn't.
Like you try to drill in and say, tell me your three biggest strengths.
The three pillars.
Three pillars.
It's not at
Toughness,
all.
discipline.
No.
Execution.
All I did was, here's what it is. I said, what have you been pleased about this spring? And I was sort of surprised that he's hesitant, John Butler, the new defensive coordinator. He's hesitant to identify players for good reason. I mean, what he's doing is he's telling these kids every day, we got to play good team defense. It's got to be collective, and it does. We've all watched a lot of football. If they're not playing as a unit, you can do well, but it's when you see a defense playing as a unit, that's what he wants. And if he's singling out guys all the time, it kind of goes against his in-house narrative. So I kind of appreciate where he's coming from. And then I appreciated yesterday, Tuesday, when I asked him, what have you liked about your defense? And he just whipped off three things that I had no idea. I will read it to you, wise guys. They play, he said, I like our man coverage. Okay, that's good.
That is good.
Because that has wide-ranging ramifications. Put another guy in the box.
Sure.
I mean, man cover. If you're good at man, there's ripple.
Send an extra blitzer.
Yeah, send extra blitzers. By the way, that was the second thing. We're a good blitzing team. We're a good blitzing. Huh. That's interesting. So who do you think of? Probably Vincent Shavers, right? You probably think
McCullough.
McGahee. McCullough.
Deshaun McCullough.
Shavers.
Yeah. Vincent Shavers.
Right.
Yeah, right. You probably think of
Singleton.
Yeah. So, okay, you're a good blitzing team. That's a little meat on the bone. And then the third thing was he likes their development a lot up front on defense. I wondered if he threw that in because he feels like he
needs it to develop.
And he needs to bolster those guys' confidence. But I thought I did genuinely myself appreciate that he just came out with three things. Oh, wow, you're good at man. Good.
The man thing stood out to me the most, just because, like you said, the ripple effect that comes off of that and what that can do for a defense. If you are a strong man coverage team and you feel good about your perimeter guys being able to lock down guys one-on-one, suddenly that opens up everything for the middle of your defense. And all these versatile safeties that you have, you can do some different things with them as opposed to just dropping back and providing help because your guys can't cover on the outside. Right. So I agree with you. That had some meat on the bone there, and then it tied in with the blitzing thing because when you can cover well on the perimeter, suddenly you can open up that blitz brackets.
Yeah. Sierra Wright, when you look at him, like I think he's going to make a big jump because people forget he didn't get to Lincoln.
Yeah, when did he get to Lincoln?
Late July.
God, that's late.
And he comes in that Illinois game and starts making plays that changes the game.
They won't say it, but he has to be a starter, right? I mean, if Ndamukong Suh was returning right now, they wouldn't say he's a starter.
I don't know.
I mean, it is like you said, they're not like just simply like, hey, tell me more about Andrew Marshall. I asked that, like, he's a newcomer, decorated player at the FCS level. How has he transitioned? And they won't go there. They won't. John Butler
just said we're glad to have him.
Yeah, they're just very careful about doing the big, praise of a player. Because as you said off air to me, at a place like Nebraska, that can get turned into a lot of headlines.
Yeah, and what happens is, I'm not saying it's always this way, but it can be misleading. Because then you guys, I'm sure this has happened to you guys. What people say to me, hey, they're really talking about player X a lot. And what I often have said over the years, well, that's because they're asked about it.
Directly asked about him.
Directly asked about a certain player. So that certain player gets all these headlines, and it becomes this sort of narrative when there might be three other guys playing as well or better, but they just weren't asked about.
And then the portal implication too. If you have some like third string guy that you're going out of your way, like gassing up, like suddenly schools are going to take note of that and be like, hey, I know you're not going to start at Nebraska.
Right.
What do you think about what we have over here?
So yeah, it's different now.
There's layers to it now.
Yeah, there is. It's different.
Yeah, I think Williams Nwaneri is still one of the most intriguing pieces that if they can get him to be the player that people thought he was coming out of high school, like, and what is that definition? Can they get him to be a productive edge pass rusher at this level?
That's it. That's what you want.
Because if you can get him to be that kind of player, which I still think's an if,
it is an if.
Like 8 sacks or something like that, that changes everything.
It changes everything. We've seen it here, though, the impact it can have with Randy Gregory. We saw it. And we saw you not only see it in the sack production, you saw how offenses slanted their protection toward him. It was incredible. You could see it. And that's kind of helps a lot.
Suddenly tight ends and running backs have to stay in the block.
Yep.
Bo took so few JUCO guys, but all of them ended up being good.
Not all.
Levante.
Remember they brought that kid in from a pass rusher from Illinois, Chicago, whatever. He didn't work out, but most of them hit.
Oh yeah, I'm talking Gregory, Dijon Gomes, Levante David, Jamarcus Hardrick.
Jeez, those are
a lot of hits.
Brandon Kinney.
Those are hits.
A lot of hits.
Brandon Kinney. I'm glad you mentioned. He gets lost in conversation. He was a bear on the outside.
He's coaching high school football in Omaha.
Great dude.
Great guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I look at that era, like Randy Gregory broke his leg and they still like knew how good he was going to be. And he led the Big Ten in sacks in his first year in the conference.
He's a bear.
And he didn't train in Lincoln all summer. Did not train. He showed up here on fan photo day.
Yeah. I remember I was standing by Sean. I think it was the first practice we were able to see. And we were all watching, let's see what Gregory looks like. And Sean said, God, it looks like a guy that got lost on his way to an SEC school.
Don't you remember when they played Georgia?
That's what he looked like.
In the Gator Bowl? And that Georgia tight end kind of ruffled a lot of feathers. We were in that. It was like a train station that we had that press conference at in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And you could smell the cigarette smoke in there still. It was weird. But this Georgia tight end's like, yeah, that 44, he's the one guy, he looks like he's an SEC player. And it was like a kind of a slap at the Big Ten at that time.
There was some truth to it, though.
It wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
Nebraska won the game.
Yep.
Against Georgia.
Oh, yeah. That was the Anunwa long 99-yard pass play.
Yeah. Sometimes it ain't always a beauty contest.
Nope.
Those Nebraska teams were, we probably didn't appreciate them like we should have in retrospect.
When they could just go and beat Georgia in Jacksonville.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like a home stadium to Georgia.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you go back and watch those tapes. I always talk about this. You go back and watch that YouTube and you just think, wow, there's some talent. Think about that defense.
They had good lines and all conference level players.
Malik Collins, Valentine, Gregory.
I don't think we appreciate like Garrison and Barney Cotton, the job they did with the lines.
100.
That's what I'm saying. They had good lines.
When they were even short, they would pull like out a guy like Sung Hong Choi.
And it worked.
And he was good.
And then they pull out this like Korean foreign exchange student that landed at Lincoln Christian who was probably 6 foot tall.
I know he's not your size,
and he freaking
he was a dog.
Was good.
He worked.
It worked. You didn't really appreciate like Spencer Long.
Yeah.
How they did
now hold on. Spencer Long was all big,
but how they just created a Spencer.
Yeah, that
Long.
came out of nowhere.
Oh yeah,
and all of a sudden became an all conference player.
Yeah, good. Yeah, for sure. He was a dude though.
Yes, he was
a dude.
And Brent Quallys and Searles. They
guys were good.
Justin Jackson.
Yeah,
it's just name Bo Pelini offensive lineman.
I don't mind saying it. It's okay to say it. We didn't know how good we had it. We just didn't.
Well,
now we know, and we'll better appreciate it when it looks like that again.